hope you got your shitting pants on.
Because you are about to shit your pants.
A jelly donut?
I'm your Huckleberry.
You're not looking at the big picture. You're not looking at the big picture.
Something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
Well, welcome to the big picture, bitches.
Bitch.
All right, a couple of things we can get into today. Want to lay it out. I have been away for the past week, doing the good guy thing. Alleged good guy thing. Yeah, I spent a week in Connecticut. It's pretty cool out there. The only problem I really have is there's not a lot of options for coffee out there. You have Dunkin' Donuts, and you have Cumberland Farms. There's no Tim Hortons. Now, I'm a fan of Tim Hortons, for the most part, as long as they don't fuck up my coffee when they make it in the morning. But, you know that slogan, America runs on Dunkin'? Well, maybe America does, but I certainly don't. And going away on a trip like this, it was cool. But not being able to have that coffee in the morning just sucked. I mean, absolutely fucking sucked. And that's the best way that I can say it. Busy week, did a lot, got a lot done, lots accomplished, got paid. You know, that's what it's all about, right? Okay, so brings me to my next topic. Sometimes I like to watch YouTube videos. And, you know, you pick up techniques and see what other people are doing, and that's always kind of cool. But one of the photographers that I've really enjoyed watching here as of late is Jason Lanier. He's a Sony shooter, and he's all around a great guy. And I you know, interesting person. So, very talented, like the camera work that he does, you know, props to him. But during my watching of videos, one of the things that I saw Jason Lanier do was call out a Joe Wheeler, also known as the Angry Photographer. Now, I'm the Angry Photographer. I get pissed off real easy. But for the most part, I'm a good guy. And what I noticed is this Joe Wheeler, you know, just creating a whole shitload of drama that was really stupid. And first thing I'd like to say is, Joe Wheeler, your comments and criticisms of Jason Lanier, they were totally irrelevant, okay? And there wasn't a lot of fact there. Now, I don't know you that well. I'm sure I'm probably going to listen to some of the things you have to say, because I do find you interesting. But in regards to making some of the comments you did about Jason Lanier, nobody wanted to hear it. I mean, as a matter of fact, I don't remember anybody asking you a thing about your opinions on Jason Lanier.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
And secondly, you know, I think if anybody really wanted to hear your opinion on it, they would ask you, but I don't recall anybody asking you your opinion.
Hey, if we want to hear you talk, I will shove my arm up your ass and work your mouth like a puppet. You hear me? You hear me?
So all I heard was a bunch of crap flying out of your mouth about how Jason Lanier is a sellout, and, you know, he's a Sony guy, and Sony lines his pockets, and so on and so forth. And it's like, you know, how can you even say that? How can you even say that without knowing anything at all? And who cares if Sony was lining his pockets? I mean, what, if he's that talented, if he's a Sony artisan, and Sony chooses to pay him to endorse their products, so what? Good for him. I think that's a great thing, and dude, you just, you make these statements and it's like, wow, what, holy Jesus.
Holy Jesus.
So, essentially when you're going on your rants about this, all I really hear is just a bunch of roaring. So I didn't necessarily respect that or appreciate that. And, the way I see it is, when I heard this and actually heard your comments and the things that you said, it was just like, this dude needs to get the fuck out of people's faces.
Get the fuck out my face with that shit.
So, it was a bitch thing to do. And I didn't think, that it was, too cool of you. So that's my take on it. And, the follow-up on everything was Jason Lanier. He did the exact same thing I would have done. And I called his fat ass out. Or Jason Lanier called his fat ass out. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm being a dickhead about this, but, I think I'm gonna. I think I want to be. Because it's dickheads like Joe Kelly that sit there and give the world of photography.
If it wasn't for dickheads like you!
They give photographers a bad name. So, like I said, the follow-up on all this was, and it was pretty interesting, Jason Lanier called him to a shootout. And, the first video was these two guys sitting in a camera store having a conversation about this, that, and the other thing. And then there was a little mending of fences, and these guys actually went out and shot together. Now, here's the thing that nobody else really said. This Joe Kelly, he's a Fuji shooter. And I'm not taking anything away from Fuji. I'm not taking away anything from Sony. I'm not taking anything away from anybody. You shoot whatever you're comfortable with or what you can afford. I think that's a fair statement across the board. But I want to point something out. I noticed two very significant things in that video. And if I can find the ability to do it, I will post a link to the video. One unique difference that I spotted right off the bat, Jason Lanier's professionalism. The way he worked with the model, okay? That was what put his imagery over the top of Joe Kelly's. And yes, I'm saying it here first. Jason Lanier's images were 10 times better than Joe Kelly's. And largely in part, it was due to the fact that Jason Lanier knows how to work with people. He brought the very best out of the model in that photo shoot. I mean, it was incredible. And what was really even more incredible, Jason Lanier did his shooting with his Sony camera, natural light. He knows how to work a camera. He knows how to bring the very best image with the current lighting situation that he has. He didn't have a bunch of flash units. He wasn't using his roto lights or anything like that at all. He was shooting the camera, adjusting settings, and being an actual fucking photographer. Okay? The images that he was taking in the camera, he didn't even need to edit them. Okay? Joe Kelly, your model didn't respond very well to you. I mean, the photos, they're okay, but you didn't see that twinkle in the eye, the glow, the response, in your photographs that you saw in Jason Lanier's. And let's ask ourselves this. Maybe Jason Lanier knew the model, and maybe they've worked together before, and maybe there's a connection there, and she just responds better to him. But based on what I see, I'm not seeing that there's been a long-term relationship between the two. What I just saw was an actual photographer, just own a guy with a big mouth and show him, it's put up or shut up. And clearly what I saw was, Joe Kelly gets schooled, which to me was pretty cool, especially considering, how Jason Lanier was criticized and called out by this guy. And, kudos to Joe Kelly for accepting the challenge and meeting with Jason Lanier and even doing all this. Because that took guts in itself. But I still, don't think that Jason Lanier, there's a lot of props that go to him here, okay? Because, he was criticized, and instead of being a total dick, he kind of came across and, reached out to this guy and tried to mend fences and set the guy straight on things. But at the end of the day, when it came down to photographer versus photographer, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. Joe Kelly, you were owned. You were owned. And I knew it was gonna go down that way just from watching you two in your initial meeting. In the camera store. That video in itself was interesting enough, and it kind of gave you the a prelude to what was actually going to happen. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I got a little emotional from it.
Christ, I'm getting all emotional from it,
Not really. I just thought it was very interesting. So, it's good. It's all good. And I needed to bring it up, because I just found it very funny that during all this, I had heard Joe Wheeler, ask for a Sony camera multiple times, during this conversation. I would love to have one, and I've given it a fair shake and, reviewed it and all this other stuff, and it's a great camera. And meanwhile, you don't know whether he hates Sony or loves Sony. I'm a Canon guy. I've been a Canon guy for years. Everybody who really knows me knows that. I love Canon. But I'm intrigued with mirrorless. And I'm going to tell you something. Canon did release the EOS R, and I see a lot of positive advertisements, and there's some good reviews on it. But then again, there's also some terrible reviews. And, I've got to think about this. There's some considerations, like camera equipment, heavy, especially when you're backpacking, with all this stuff. There's some validity to mirrorless being lighter, easier to pack, just incredible photography comes right out of the camera. There's no limitations with Sony, like Joe Wheeler said there was. They're a full-frame DSLR. They're a full-frame mirrorless. Let's put it this way. And from what I've seen, the Sony takes incredible photographs, and it's something to be considered. As a matter of fact, there's one in my Amazon cart right now that I'm considering purchasing because of the Metabones adapter that you can use to use all your Canon lenses. I think that's fucking cool. I know there's other companies out there that do the same thing. Metabones that makes adapters for certain types of lenses, but Sony is a great option for Canon shooters if they want to try mirrorless or get into the mirrorless game. Just simply by having this one adapter, and all your Canon lenses will fit right on this adapter, and they work flawlessly through autofocusing, things like that. Matter of fact, back to Jason Lanier, he had a video where he shot a very beautiful, elegant-looking model in Niagara Falls, Canada, and he shot it with Canon lenses with his Sony camera. Photos were beautiful, and like I said, it's such a huge deal when you can shoot a photograph in the camera and not have to edit it because you know what you're doing with the camera. Now, this is what I will say. I'm not famous. I'm not regarded as an incredible photographer or anything like that. I do get my fair share of work, from time to time. I have done some commercial products and been paid very well for those commercial projects. But this is what I would say. Photographers in this area, I will put my skills and my knowledge up against anybody. And we'll see who wins. If it's an actual contest. Because I do know this much. I can work a camera. I know a thing or two about lighting. And I love to be challenged. Not too many people like to be challenged themselves. I have some other projects coming up here very shortly with some pretty important people and pretty important projects. So I guess I will have to keep you posted on all that because, normally when I get involved with some of these projects, like, what I was involved with last week, I don't tell a lot of people. It's nobody's business, really, and I've learned two things from living in my demographic area, and I've said it before, people do not care about your photography. They care about the personality of said photographer, and sometimes you can take a great photograph and post it online for people to see, and you'll get a lot of reaction to it. Doesn't mean shit. Does not mean that people are going to break down your studio door to get you to take a photograph for them. So it's a to each his own type thing. And seriously, I'll put my skills up against anybody any day. Might not win, but I'll still do it. Just because it's fun, right? It's a lot of fun. So, Joe Kelly, take a goddamn Effexor or Paxil or something and cool the fuck down, man. It's not like you're a bad guy or anything, but your big fat mouth, could have really got you in trouble if Jason Lanier would have been the dickhead that I am. You would have called me out, I would have challenged your fat ass, and I would have smoked you just 10 times worse. So, you know what? You want a camera? You want a Sony camera? Do like I do and several other professionals do when they want a camera. They scrimp, they save, they work their asses off, and they go out and buy it. You know what? I'm half tempted just to buy you a Sony camera and send it to you just so the whole world can see that, well, maybe this guy isn't as talented as everybody thinks he is. Or maybe that's an incorrect statement. No, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I would do anything like that. You had said you had a ton of cameras. Sell them. Start selling them. Go get the camera that you want. All right? And then put your money where your mouth is. That's all I'm saying. I guess I could really say, when I sit here and think about it, it pisses me off a little bit. It really does. It pisses me off that you want to call another photographer out and make all these false statements about the photographer and his endorsements and how he gets his gear and all this other stuff. That is so, unclassy. And like I said, I would challenge you to a shootout anytime, any place. I'm your Huckleberry pal.
I'm your Huckleberry.
So, I don't know, man. I thought it was a little ridiculous. I hate stuff like that.
There is one thing in this world that I hate.
Yeah. Credit though. This whole thing could have been a fire.
Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
And I watched Jason Lanier do what he does. Classy. Stayed classy, went in, shot, talked with a guy, came up with some resolutions. They went out and shot together. That's pretty cool. Wow. But I will just say, Joe Kelly, you got schooled. You got owned. Let that body hit the floor.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
So, anyway. Wow. The whole thing falls into, everybody loves their own brand.
Oh, everyone likes their own brand, don't they? This is magic.
But, and the thing is, sometimes people need to learn to shut their mouth.
You shut your mouth, you bastard!
And, when I listened to the original show there, I just thought, my God, this is fucking terrible. This thing stinks.
Oh, even Stink would say that stinks.
So, yeah, there was a lot of reaction to it. I just, what the hell is this?
What is that?
It really took me by surprise. Took me by surprise to see a photographer calling out another photographer the way that he did. Yeah, it was kind of eye-opening. And, boy, Jason Lanier, I give you a lot of credit because I would not have handled things the way that you did. That was fucking classy. Just classy. I would have saw that and I would have said, "What the fuck?
What the fuck is that?"
And I would have definitely, he would have met me and he definitely would have soiled himself.
Did you just soil yourself? Maybe.
Anyway, that's enough for that. So here's a good one. I got asked a question, earlier this week in regards to photography, and it was like, if, I use a makeup and hairstylist and things like that. And on certain occasions I do. I'm actually looking for a hairstylist, makeup artist that wants to be involved with some projects that are upcoming, and we'll see. But what amazes me is, a lot of times if you post something online, regarding that, you get a lot of questions, and I don't have time for a bunch of stupid-ass questions.
What kind of stupid-ass question is that?
At the end of the day, I need a professional. I need somebody that can actually come in there and do the job and provide expected results, exceed expectations with the makeup and hair, not this crap, because I am about, composing really good imagery, especially when it comes to doing people. And, I can't work with people that have no idea what they're doing, or they're going to ask me a bunch of questions about what I need from a photographic standpoint. It's make that person beautiful, fix their hair. I don't want any flyaways. I want this looking perfect. And, it's all about the photography, and I'm about making good photography.
Such good photography.
So, anyway, that's where we're at with things. And, boy, I still can't get over, the whole thing with Jason Lanier and Ken Wheeler. It's very interesting. It was a very interesting thing to watch, but I thought, I could be spending my time watching Jason Lanier work some incredible magic with his Sony camera, instead of watching him have to, duke it out or reach out to Ken Wheeler.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, so I just I still, oh, you want a piece of me, pal?
Oh! You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Yeah, anyway. All right. So we're gonna kill this segment. We'll start with another one. We'll be right back. Who are you? Are you an athlete? Do you compete on the biggest stages in the world? Have you ever wondered if anybody understood the sacrifices you've made so that one day you might achieve one goal? I'm Michael Sargent, and I am a sports interest portrait photographer. And my goal is to capture the sacrifices, the hard work, the dedication that you've put forth to become the person you are today. It's one thing to photograph people. It's another to make others care about them by revealing who they are at the core of their soul. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Sargent. Step in front of my lens, and together we'll show the world just who you are. All right, welcome back to the program. Okay, so here's a little topic that I want to touch on, And this is something that kind of really irritates the shit out of me. So, after a long week, doing what I do, my wife and I decide we're going to take a little ride. And anybody who knows me knows that I've got a big heart for animals, okay? Dogs and cats especially. So here we are driving down the road, and all of a sudden, we spot this kitten right in the middle of tire tracks, snow. Cat's curled up, filthy, just a baby. And this is kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. So the cat was dumped. This poor little kitten was just thrown out of a car, to fend for itself. It was basically coyote food. So we approach it, we stop, open up the door. Cat starts meowing, and of course it's scared. And, it does come over. Comes over, I pick it up, I hold it. It's cold, it's wet, it's shivering, and just filthy. So that filth got all over my sweatshirt that I had on, and it was basically soaked. Dried her out, had her in a warm car. Well, I'm not sure if it's a male or a female yet. I haven't, violated its sanctity. I wanted to get the use to, the environment that we're bringing it to. But I'm just amazed that people are that heartless that they would take a small cat, just a baby, and just throw it out there. Who in the fuck does stuff like this? I mean, that's like the ultimate dick move. There's animal shelters out there that'll take them. Will they charge you for them? Sure they will. But they don't charge that much to take an animal. It blows my mind. I mean, this cat has had no medical treatment, no nothing. You want to talk about, one appreciative little kitten. Just totally purred, snarfs, loves to be low-catted, head bumped, just really, you can't get over, how much affection this cat actually has. And I'm going to admit it right now. I am not a big cat guy. I'm more of a dog guy. But, when an animal shows you an appreciation like that, it's kind of easy to get attached to them. So, a person who, dumped this poor cat out into the middle of the road, you're what I like to refer to as a triple asshole.
You're an asshole, you're an asshole, and you're an asshole.
And what you did was not cool, brother. So, it's dickheads like that just really piss me off.
If it wasn't for dickheads like you!
How can somebody be that cruel to to an animal, especially, a kitten? It's not like you're throwing Godzilla, out the window. No, this is a cat. I'm sure somebody had, 2 cats or a female cat. Cat got bred. Next thing you know, kittens come along, and instead of taking care of the kittens or having your original cat fixed in the first place, what you end up doing is, you don't take care of the animal, and the animal ends up having, kittens, and now you've got unwanted kittens that, you have to take care of, and that's a hell of a way to take care of them. Whoever did that, that's just a dirty bastard move.
Now you see that stand out? Now that is a dirty little bastard.
So, I mean, it enrages me, and I would just love to catch somebody actually doing it. It's unbelievable to me. Anyway, we're coming up to the close of the show, and I had to touch on these things. Wow. Can't believe 30 minutes have gone by that quick already. This is unreal. Anyway, it's all good. It's cool. I can live with that. So anyway, people, hope that everybody enjoyed the show. You know, it wasn't high energy, it wasn't high impact today. It was just, we had to call out, you know, some people and talking bad about other photographers and just bullshit in the photography world. So, put the word out there, people. I am looking for a hairstylist, makeup artist, for some upcoming projects. If this works out and things take off from these projects, this could really turn into something pretty cool. So, keep that in the back of your head, and anybody listening, if you know anybody that's looking to get their name out there as a stylist, you know, let's see what we can do. Maybe we can help each other. It's all about networking, right? Networking is networking, and networking can be kind of cool sometimes. All right, we're out. Thanks for listening.
Like the track of the whip, I snap attack, front to back, in this thing called rap. Nigga like a shovel, rhyme double on a heavenly level. Bang the bass, turn up the treble. Radical mind, day and night, all the time. 714, wise, divine, maniac, brainiac, winning the game. I'm the lyrical Jesse James. Quality, I possess, some say I'm fresh, when my voice goes through the mesh of the microphone that I am holding. Copywritten lyrics so they can't be stolen if they all snap. Don't need the police to try to save them, your voice will sing. So peace, stay off my back, or I will attack, and you don't want that.